episode 89 of Mastering Local Marketing. You can watch us anytime at WJOB 1230 on YouTube, and then you can get us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get podcasts. It's called Mastering Local Marketing. In this episode, we're exposing one of the biggest issues holding small business back: cloning. From identical social posts and themed taglines to lookalike ads that blend into the feed, too many businesses are copying each other instead of standing out. Matt is going to explain why safe marketing is actually the riskiest strategy of all and how originality creates instant attention, loyalty, and higher conversion. You'll learn how to uncover your unique marketing DNA, use storytelling to separate your brand, and take creative risks that make customers remember you. If your ads feel flat, this episode will help you break free from the clone factory and start creating marketing that's unmistakably you. Matt Hansen, how are you?
I'm good. So I'm laughing over here because I'm sitting here thinking about one of the things that I'm going through right now. So I run the digital marketing competition here at P&W, and this is a global competition where college students submit all of these presentations, and I'm working on all of these submissions. Came in. We had roughly about 34 hours of content that had come in, and we're going through it with the judges. And I say this every single year or every single semester when we're going through this, that they're presenting an 8-minute marketing presentation to the client. And I say this to them all the time. I'm like, listen, we get 34 hours of content, and you're sticking to a very safe presentation. You go through a little bit of research. You talk a little bit about how the website needs to be updated. You look at their email. You say, we're going to do some influencers. We're going to do some paid social. And then here's how we're going to evaluate it. And it's rinse and repeat. We see it over and over and over. And it kind of reminds me of local marketing, how different different businesses will just see something they like, they recreate it, they clone it, and then they run it, and it all kind of looks the same, right? So we're at, we have over I think it was 250 plus presentations that came in, and we have to get it down to 6 finalists. And what I say to all of them every single year is, you have to stand out. Do one thing that makes you stand out. If it's completely crazy, great. It makes you stand out. But I see it over and over and over again. When we get to those finalists, we get to those 6 different people 6 different teams that are invited to the finals. They have one unique thing in there that stood out, that separated them. So, think of putting 250 marketing plans in front of you, and 244 of them are all the same, but then there are 6 of them that had one thing that drastically just separated them from the others. And that's what ends up happening every year. So I started thinking about this last night, and I thought, well, let's bring this into local marketing, and we're going to talk about, some different industries and some people that kind of stand out. So that's where I wanted to go with this. I'm telling you, everyone clones things, and everything is always the same.
We're going to go through some, but I have so many questions. I mean, first of all, do you know how hard that is without looking stupid? You know what I mean? Or maybe that's the goal, to look stupid.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
We went down to the state of Indiana, and we're like, yeah, we got this great idea, this sports network. We think it's going to stand out. It's got something. And they're like, yeah, we want you. And they encouraged it. Mm-hmm. But you need to present it like A, and then B, and then C, yep, and then D in your average pitch deck. They basically they took out all the originality and all of the spark that I thought we had. I mean, certainly we got funded, but I'm like, man, that's just awful. It's putting my feet to sleep.
Yeah.
And even the guys here, well, they want it this way, they want it that way. Well, let's just mix it up. No. We have to stay in a program, probably that's what people are thinking in your DMC, because you're getting them from all over. That one time you had the people from, I think it was Malaysia or wherever it was. It was, and they presented. I'm like, wow, they're really good, and they really thought this through.
Yeah.
But it was still a little bit of cookie cutter. Mm-hmm. And how do you know when you can take the risk?
I think the whole thing shouldn't be the risk. I think you take the risk on one area, right? So figure out. So again, maybe it is something that maybe it's an audience that you've never targeted, right? I've seen stuff like that where you'll pick like a very niche target and go after that. Or maybe you're doing a complete rebrand, and that's a risky thing to do. It's something, you've got kind of the awareness of the old brand versus the new. But again, if everything is the same, nothing stands out, right? So if you're trying to generate awareness for who you are and there's already a leader out there in the space, you're just going to mix in with them. So, I'm happy to talk about some of the...
Let's talk about some of them. What about Brianna? Tell us about her.
So there is this real estate agent that is out there. I've actually reached out to her to try and get her on a podcast. She's not doing any right now, but her handle is Tampa Bree, and she's got almost 500,000 people following her, right? So she's down in Tampa. Now think about this. Real estate agents, they all kind of do the exact same thing, right? So they put a nice little picture of themselves on a sign in the front yard, and they have the printouts and all this stuff, and they
might have a billboard.
They might have a bit. There's nothing really drastic that they're doing. Nobody's really shaking this up, but she has completely done something different. I believe her history is she's got kind of like a comedy background, but she's bringing the comedy into these Instagram and TikTok videos where she is walking you through these houses, but she's roasting the houses as well. So she'll be calling out different features of the home and all of this stuff, but she does this full video tutorial of the house, but you would think it would come across as negative, right? So it's all of this, the last one she just did, they had a tennis court in the backyard, and she's like, oh, mommy got me a tennis court so I can be good at tennis, and she's just making fun of all of these different things, but it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. Every single one of them are so funny, and you would think that people wouldn't want that, as they're going through and trying to sell their house, but it's the opposite has actually happened, where people are calling her and say, will you roast my house next? So what you think wouldn't be working is actually she's getting more requests now to do this for different people in that area. And I'm telling you, go check it out, because it is, and she gets a little raunchy with some of the stuff. But I would say to play one, but I don't think it would go well on air with some of the stuff that she
we
does.
record these live on AM radio, so sometimes we have to dial back some of the creativity.
Yeah, but it's just Tampa_BRE Bree, and check her out. I mean,
irreverence is okay in selling a house.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one. I'm not really sure what this means, but you got the hammer.
Yeah.
Tell me about the hammer. I love that. I mean, I already like it, but go ahead.
Well, a lawyer, right? For some reason, a sledgehammer is synonymous with a lawyer in billboards everywhere you go, right? So I travel, whether it's here in Indiana, or I was just in Georgia, you go to Florida, everywhere you go, it's the same visual over and over. It's some lawyer holding a sledgehammer and saying, drop the hammer, we'll get you the most money, that kind of thing. And it's funny because there's no difference. I can literally take that same marketing and drop it into Des Moines, Iowa, and it's going to be the exact same message. So if you're in Des Moines, and I know there's a few of you out there that are listening there, look around. Are you seeing the hammer? Are you seeing the sledgehammer? Are you a lawyer that's using that? Just realize it's all the same message. It doesn't matter where you're at. So it's kind of this, I'm not saying it's bad, but what I'm saying is it's not separating you from the pack. And, around here, maybe specialize in a certain area. And we've got one around here. It's, the Law Tigers, and they focus on motorcycles. And the reason that they focus on motorcycle insurance is because they are motorcycle riders, and it's this whole perception, positioning kind of thing. And it's great, right? Like they've separated. I don't see anybody else doing that where they're trying to separate and focus on one specific area of law, and that's what they've done. There's another one that's going on right now in Chicago where I think I forget the name of it, but they're pushing accidents with trucks, semis, right? And you hear them all over the radio. It doesn't matter what radio station you're on right now. You hear them, and it sounds like an interview, but they're talking about the things that you need to do if you were hit by a truck. You need to call us immediately. We'll send out a response team. We'll check all. And it's educational because it's things you wouldn't normally think about, right? So we've got the hammer, we've got the sledgehammer, and then we've got somebody that's being very educational, or they are focusing in on a specific type of insurance because they are also motorcycle riders, so we understand what you're going through and what the needs that you have, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, instead of cloning things and doing what everybody else is doing, find the niche, find the area that you can be in, and educate or relate or something along those lines. But, lawyers is definitely an interesting one to watch.
Our podcast network manager is Adriana Alvarez, and she wants us to keep to 18 minutes. So here we go. I want to pick one out. I know you got a lot of examples here, but you mentioned one that is local to us here in Northwest Indiana. I already recognize it.
Yep.
And it's like, hey, bank local? And you could do that anywhere. Go to Topeka, bank local, right up there, all right? But there is a bank, Centier Bank, that came up with a very specific twist on this. Mm-hmm. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so, like everywhere, we had a huge consolidation of banks, and local banks were being purchased by all of the larger, bigger banks, right? So Centier is a local bank here in Indiana, and basically they came up with a campaign that they slapped a not for sale sign on everything. We're going to maintain being your local bank. They didn't say local, but they basically just put, we are not for sale, and we're going to be here for you. Doesn't matter how many of these banks come in, we're not selling. And that was the best twist I've ever seen on the Shop Local. I was like, when I saw it, I'm like, all right, I'm giving it to you. Like, great job with that. And, it's one of those things, it doesn't matter kind of where you are in the world, you're still seeing the consolidation of banks. So you can take those ideas and flip them in a creative way. And they did it in a perfect way. I still see, I can shut my eyes and still see the not for sale signs that were on all the billboards and all the ads that I was seeing online and all that kind of stuff. But
it's pretty prevalent here. I think they've been around for 130 years, and they have been able to grow by separating themselves as not just the local banker, but as almost like aggressively not growing to too big of a status. Let's talk about the hero sidekick problem. What is that exactly?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a while back in regard to storytelling and, what you are. We've got our hero, which is our customer, and then a hero always has a sidekick. But the hero always has a problem, right? So we're talking about this, and we're looking at it from, a real estate agent or a lawyer or a bank or whomever, right? People have problems that you have to solve. And easy marketing kind of takes a simple way of positioning, and when we're talking about a hero and a sidekick, we are the sidekick. Our business is the sidekick. We are offering a solution to the hero's problem. So in any story that you have, somebody, the main character of the story has a problem that they have to solve. We agitate it a little bit. You really understand what their problem is, and then the sidekick comes in and provides some piece of advice, something that helps them solve their problem. It's the same idea here, right? So we have our hero, which is our customer. They have a problem, and then we're coming back out with, we're a local bank. Okay, does that solve their problem? Not really. My problem is the fact that you're a local bank. Do I have to worry about you being purchased? Centeer came up with, we're not for sale. Okay. A lawyer, we've got a sludge hammer. We're going to hammer down and get you the most money. Okay, but I get that. But how does that separate? Why are you better, right? So if I have a motorcycle accident or I'm hit by a semi out here on the Borman, like if somebody's telling me we specialize in semi-truck accidents, you need to call it. All right, now that's in my mind when I get smashed here on the Borman, right? Or from a real estate perspective, I've been dealing with a few different real estate agents lately, and the first one, yeah, great. We had a quick conversation. We actually put an offer on a house a week ago, and I had to follow up to say, like, what's going on?
You mean in Bloomington?
In West Lafayette.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That is a major faux pas.
Yeah.
We are on the campus of Purdue, and I just mentioned Indiana University, and we may have to just ixnay this entire podcast because of that. But you bought a house, and what happened?
Well, no, we put an offer in a house, and I didn't hear anything back, right? So I thought it was weird. I'm like, you've got to get back to me, right? So finally I sent a text. He's like, I'll call you right now. So he called me up, whatever. Said there was another offer. I said, okay, well, let me know what happens. Maybe we'll put a higher bid in. So told me, this other offer, they have to respond by 4:00 the next day. And I said, okay. So I'm at home, and it's noon, and it's 1:00, and it's 2:00, and I'm sitting there going, is he going to call me? Is he going to ask me if I'm going to put another offer in? And I went, no, I'm going to wait, right? No phone call ever came. I've never heard back from this real estate agent. I don't know what happened. So my contract with him ended like a day later. So I signed with another, because you have to literally sign a document saying that they're representing. So I went with another real estate agent because I'm like, well, if you're not going to call me back, obviously you don't have my best interest in mind. So we went with another one, and that one's been great, right? Like really providing real value. He's trying to dial in on what we're looking for. But that's what I mean. Like, you've got to separate yourself. There's plenty of people out there that are going to offer what you offer, but what is it that you're doing that's different, or what is the positioning that you're doing that's different? And again, we've talked about a bunch of different things today.
This is episode 90. My fault. Episode 90. Local marketing has a cloning problem. He's Matt Hansen. He is a digital marketing professor at Purdue Northwest. I'm Jim Diedlow, the owner of a sports network and some radio stations, and you are someone who cares about local marketing. And until next time, we will see you later.